So today I have a couple of STEM activities to share with you that have to do with sharks, our little buddies here. So let me move this shark guy and you can see my other friend over here. So sharks are really big animals, or they can be, but yet they stay up in the water. Why is that, do you think? So sharks have three different ways of, at least, of staying up in the water. One is that they don't have bones. They have something called cartilage instead, and cartilage is less dense than bone. The second thing is that they have fins and a tail that are super strong, so they keep those moving all the time, otherwise they would just sink. And the third thing, which is pretty cool, is that they have a very oily liver. Now humans have livers too, but ours are not quite as oily as the sharks. So we're going to do a little experiment here to see how that oil affects how a shark can stay up in the water. Okay, so first of all, we've got this large tub of water. And then I've got my two little shark friends. I painted them so they look like sharks. I have my blue friend who's filled with water, and my red friend who's filled with oil. So I'm going to put them in the water and let's see what happens. We'll start with Mr. Blue. Okay, so Mr. Blue is partially sinking. Let's try Mr. Red here. So can you see that? Hopefully you can see that the one with the oil in it is completely floating on the surface. This one is like hanging down there a little bit. So the oil helps the shark to be able to stay more buoyant. This has to do with that scientific principle called buoyancy, which means how well something can float. So we're going to look at one other example of buoyancy with some oranges. So buoyancy is how well an object can float, and it's determined by two different things: how much water is moved or displaced when you put the object in, and how dense the object is. So we're going to try this with some oranges. I just bought these mandarin oranges at the grocery store. So here's an orange. Let's see what happens when we put it in the water. And it floats. Are you surprised? And now I'm going to peel an orange. And I want you to guess, is this one going to float? Or is it going to sink? What do you think is going to happen? We'll put him in here and see. He's floating too, which isn't what I was expecting. So I'm going to try another one. Another one that I've already peeled. Now this guy is sinking. So what does that mean? So the peel of an orange has a lot of air in it, and it's holding, and it also has oils. So it's holding those things in for the orange. Now that orange had a lot of air inside, in between the sections of the orange. So, you know, if you open up an orange and it's got all these sections to it, that's a lot of air that's going to be held in there. And that guy still wants to float. Maybe he doesn't have a whole lot of water in. So this one is sinking because the air in it's being displaced with water, and therefore it's becoming more dense. So unlike sharks, bony fish have another organ called a swim bladder that helps them to stay afloat in the water. And we're going to make one right here so you can do a little experiment on it. So what you need is a balloon, some kind of tubing, maybe even a straw would work, and a glass. So I'm going to make it for you here, and some duct tape. So you're going to put your balloon on one end of this and use some duct tape to make a tight seal. Mine's not quite good enough, so I'm going to add an extra. I can feel it coming out. That's good. Okay. I put this inside of here, like so. Okay, so now I'm going to take my tub of water again, and I'm going to put my bottle in the water. And as you can see, it's going to start to sink. And then I'm going to use my swim bladder and see what happens. Whoa. Did you see that? So, a swim bladder, it does just that. It puts air inside of the fish and it enables the fish to stay on one level in the ocean. But sharks don't have this, which is actually a really cool advantage for them because they can dive between layers of the ocean without it causing any stress. If a fish were to do that, they might explode or implode. And I'd love to show you that today, but I can't. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Nancy from the County Library, the South Jordan Branch, and happy Shark Week.